Welcome back to another episode of Coffee with a Kick. We are here for the midweek that will be the penultimate match day of the Champions League. We have these 2 days here, and then next week we get all 18 matches all on the same day, or 18 matches all on the same day on the 29th to wrap up the league stage. And then there will be a draw. No, there won't be a draw because they'll get... Now there is a draw for the knockouts, and then you earn your seeds from the knockouts, I believe is how that works. So that's what we have coming up. We are going to incorporate both the Champions League picks and the review of Matchday 22, which just wrapped up in this same episode. So no need to look for a picks episode and a recap. It's all here today, baby. All right. Anything you want to say before we go into... We'll cover our picks for the Champions League here at the end of the episode. We'll start with the recap.
You know, it feels like a full show. Yeah. I mean, we got different segments, some outside comments that we can't make due to not getting our ads banned. But it was a great day in America either way. Maybe even just saying the word America, we might get banned. I don't know. But all I know is we have the same mug. We're rocking and rolling. And, man, there was a lot of crazy things that happened in Matchday 22.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
That is for sure. And we'll start with one here real quick. That's Keegan. I'm Xander, by the way. I need to start making sure that we do our introductions at the beginning because I don't know how often I've said that my own name is Xander in this. So if you don't look at the description, first of all, shame on you because that's where our link is for the Substack. But my name is Xander. But yeah, we'll go ahead and get into one of those weird ones to start off with here, which was Brentford taking it to Newcastle at St. James's Park in a way that I don't think anyone could have expected that.
Yeah, Bournemouth, it was really the Justin Kluivert show.
For sure.
Hat trick. The 90+2 was the real dagger. At that point, I felt like Newcastle was still kind of in the match. They looked a little lost in this one, but there's still that you're only down 2-1, there's hope. And then, boy, those two 90-minute goals. The Kirkez one was very nice. It was on a little fast break, and Kluivert, I think, got the assist on that one. He feeds it to Kirkez, and Kirkez has a nice finish.
Yeah, a really clinical counter on that one.
Yeah, Newcastle, I mean, they were on a 6-7 game win streak, and it just comes to a halt here at home against Bournemouth.
Yeah, very good look for them. Newcastle, 6 straight wins had jumped them from 12th up to their peak last match day in 4th. They have now taken a step back, obviously. But yeah, it truly was Kluivert. I think, of the first couple of goals, you could kind of... It was a little bit... it was very clinical. It wasn't very flashy from him. And there was a... Let's see. It could have been worse, though, because Bournemouth did have one disallowed by being out of bounds. That's right. No, that was a different one, right? Hold on. On the touchline. The millimeter one, that was over in Arsenal and Aston Villa. That one's for later. Oh, there was a goal by Miller. Now, this one was that it had gone out of bounds on the touchline. So it could have even been worse for Newcastle. But, yeah, I think Newcastle's been on such a run. I think you can maybe just let this one go. It's January. You've been playing a lot. Bournemouth is not a terrible team. So maybe you can just kind of okay, let's just put that one in the rear view, move on. Luckily, they've got Southampton up next. So if there was ever a team not named my Wolves to get your bounce back on, I believe it's going to be this one here. But yeah, we both got that one wrong, obviously, because we did not see that coming. And then we move over to Brentford and Liverpool. This one I did see coming, and perfectly so. A 2-0 victory for Liverpool over Brentford. And really, this one could have gone very differently from very early on. There was a ball across the box in the 5th minute from Brentford that was just begging to be tapped in on the back post. But I can't remember who was at the back post, but he did not It wasn't in position. He didn't lunge for the ball. I don't know if it's just, your feet sometimes aren't in the right place to make that sort of move. And that's going to be my guess, because he could have thrown his shoulder at it and got it in there. It wasn't going to take much. But then things definitely moved back into Liverpool's favor at that point. Was that a 3? My handwriting's so bad. 35th minute, Szoboszlai almost got the action going with a rocket, but it slammed off of the crossbar. I don't know what that says. And then
Brentford.
Yeah,
they really should have put this one. You should have gotten a goal before Liverpool.
Yeah,
I mean, Nunez. It seems as though the players that the media decides that, this player isn't doing so well for Liverpool. It's Luis Diaz. It's Darwin Nunez. The very next game, they end up scoring, and Nunez comes to the rescue with not one but 2 and stoppage time goals. That could, given the Arsenal result, could be the separator. Nottingham's in there, but that could be the separator for the title. Those were big goals.
Yeah, and really the Nunez first goal was against the run of play. Like, Brentford was peppering the goal mouth there there was a last 15 minutes of regular time where Brentford looked like they were going to maybe get all 3 out of this. And then Nunez was just basically standing in the right place at the right time, and Alexander-Arnold's chip over to him just bounced right into the goal, basically. Like, it wasn't much to it. 90 plus 3, that one was more typical. I mean, Brentford was being aggressive. Their back line was a little bit too far up, and they got caught out by Nunez on the second one. But yeah, Brentford really missing the boat on that one. Could have made the title race much more interesting, but 'twas not to be in Matchday 22 for Liverpool. Their first win of the year, right? Is that right? In the Premier League?
I think that could be plausibly true. First 2025 win.
Yeah, the last one had been a 5-0 victory over West Ham. Wow. All right, and then from there we go to Leicester City and Fulham. Another one that we both got right. The first one actually of the week that we both got right. Fulham taking the victory there.
Tale of 2 halves.
Yeah, definitely so.
First half, first 30 minutes, really, Leicester had 2, maybe even 3 really good chances to take the lead, and they just fluffed all of them. And when you're Leicester, you got to be hitting those, especially at home. And then Fulham, obviously, when that first goal went in, you could kind of feel the air in the stadium go out because Leicester not very confident in their team being able to come back from 1-0 down, let alone 2-0 after Adama added it in 68.
Yeah, the 48th minute goal was a bit silly in my opinion, because Fulham had been putting in really consistent work at the finish of the first half, and they were looking like the better team. And then their goal in the 48th minute basically comes off of a fluky, who was it? Not Sasa Lucic. He wasn't that one actually got it, but it was basically he was saving the ball from going out of bounds, flipped it over his head, and it just finds the right guy in the box, Emile Smith-Rowe, who puts it in. And then Adama Traore, where was that first touch when you were playing with Wolves, man? That was a great first touch. It made me a little angry when I saw him do that.
Adama, he's the one that got away. Wolves, there's that one season where Wolves they almost sold him for 90 million to, I think it was Liverpool, wanted him for that much, and they turned it down. Then he ends up going to Barcelona for free. But yeah, Adama,
Oopsie.
Nice baby oil type flick.
Yes, the baby oil. And that is Fulham and taking out Leicester. Then we move to a lot of 2-0s this week. A 2-0 victory for away 2-0s, as a matter of fact. Crystal Palace wins 2-0 over West Ham United. This one we both got wrong because we thought it was going to be a draw. 'Twas not a draw.
Yeah, I would love to see if this has ever happened before, because all of the 9 o'clock Central Time 9 o'clock games were 0-0 at half, and they ended 2-0. So very strange occurrences there. But yeah, you see the red card. not necessarily a big indicator of how the match actually went. Crystal Palace from the get-go, they handled this one. This is the Crystal Palace that we kind of saw at the tail end of last season. Really strong defense, not letting the opposition get anywhere near the 18-yard box, and then just playing really well once they do get the ball on offense, especially Mateta coming back. Yeah, he might get 11 goals in 8 games again. Who knows?
Yeah,
the penalty was lucky, though. The penalty was lucky.
Yeah.
He kicked it right at Fabianski, goes through his hands.
The penalty, yeah.
As the announcer said, when your confidence is sky high like Mateta, the ball just seems to go in anyways.
Yeah, and it was a pretty comfortable 2-0 victory for Crystal Palace over West Ham. West Ham not looking good at the moment. Even though they won last week, that was not an impressive performance at home in a London derby. So not what you're looking for. Certainly not what you're looking for. And then we go to Aston Villa coming back, clawing their way back. It was Arsenal's turn for giving up a 2-0 victory this week. 2-2 Arsenal and Aston Villa. And this was actually a very exciting match. Like, this was a good match to watch as a neutral. Because it was, I mean, at the end there, both sides were throwing haymakers trying to get the winning goal.
I really thought at the end there it should have been Aston Villa getting the victory. I felt like giving up the 2-0 lead so quickly for Arsenal. There at the end, there were a couple of chances. I think Duran had a chance there at the end where he just did not connect with it correctly. But I think Arsenal was lucky to escape with a draw at the end of this one.
Yeah, I mean, both their goals were, the Martinelli goal was by literally millimeters, maybe a centimeter. It was a very close goal line decision. And then the 55th minute goal was a bit unlucky for Aston Villa. But, Arsenal had chances at the end as well. The 88th minute, they were denied by VAR, a very tight VAR offsides call on a guy who wasn't. He was offsides and he was in the area of play. So I get that's why they're going to have to call it there. But he wasn't directly involved with it. And then 90+1, they hit the woodwork square on to deny the victory there as well. So, yeah, both these teams are... Aston Villa certainly feels better coming out of a point with it. But at Arsenal, they were outplayed for a good bit of this as well. Yeah, I agree on that. And
yeah, and after this one... Arteta, being classic Arteta, saying the reason they lost was the lack of attacking options that he had on the bench, despite bringing in, Raheem Sterling, one of the greatest wingers of all time in Premier League, and some other, Gabriel Jesus. He's bringing on these people, then complaining that he doesn't have any options on the bench. And I'm like, dude, just accept that your team fluffed it and move on. But the excuses continue to flow, which I think, as we've seen with other teams, that was kind of the moniker of whenever Jose Mourinho's team started to do bad. It's because the manager wasn't in too good of a mood. And he was always complaining. And I think Arteta's getting there. And I think it's going to bode. Arsenal's form is going to start to dip because their manager is Mr. Negativo.
No good. No bueno. I'll respond to that. We both got that one right because we did expect a draw. Now, we both thought it was not going to be nearly as exciting as that, but came through for us in the end. And then we both got the West Ham Crystal Palace wrong. Then to the next one up, we move over to Sunday with another, bizarre match. Everton beat Spurs 3-2, and it wasn't that close. Like, Spurs were lucky to be at 3-2 at the end of it. Richarlison gave up his body for essentially a meaningless goal there at the very end, sliding into the upright to get the goal there. But it was, Everton looked like the better team, which is crazy.
Yeah, looked like the better team. Clearly, David Moyes, again, has them just humming. This is when the manager switch goes really well. Because clearly these players are like, oh, we actually can attack. Like, we forgot what it was like to have the ball in the final third. And now Calvert-Lewin's back on the score sheet. I think he's a really good striker. I think he's just had poor service. But, I mean, they played well. I don't know how long Postecoglou can keep his job. Apparently, Tottenham have come out and said that he's our guy. People think that if he can go far in the FA Cup or win the Carabao Cup, he'll keep his job. But to be honest, man, you're sitting at 15th. Everton just closed the gap on you.
Yeah.
Wolves and Ipswich, it's only match week 30. If you keep this up, might be right there with Wolves and Ipswich.
Not impossible. I mean, if we're talking about a title race, then we have to be talking about a relegation race in that regard. It's only a point different.
The fact that the two managers, obviously Man United already made a manager change, but the Man United manager and Tottenham manager are so astronomically bad at getting results for their team.
Yeah.
But they have probably the biggest job security in the Premier League. Makes no sense. I would be shipping them out.
Yeah, and I mean the first goal in particular, Calvert-Lewin had Tottenham's defense on roller skates. I mean, they were totally disorganized on that. And then Pickford, the only reason they got that goal is because Pickford got caught out on the 77th, and Kulusevski had a very nice chip. I mean, it was a clever little move there. But other than that, it's you can say you're confident all you want, but if you keep playing like this is not good enough for Tottenham. You're one of London's premier clubs, supposedly. You should start playing like it. Then we will move to the next match on our list, which is, speaking of big teams fumbling still, Manchester United drops another match here, 3-1 to Brighton Hove Albion. And this one as well, Brighton was just by far the better team in this. Yeah,
Brighton team that was probably one of the worst teams in form as far as Premier League sides go coming into this one. So rather embarrassing for Man U. Again, your manager comes out and states that your team is the worst team in Man United history. And then he just leaves it there. There's no but we're going to get better. We're going to play better. It's just we're the worst. That's it. There's still 16 match days left. You gotta be more inspiring, more hopeful. I don't understand what the man is doing, but it baffles me. And sure, the stats right now, yes, they technically are the worst team. They're doing stuff that they haven't done since the 1800s. But there are some other pundits on Sky Sports that are saying, you just can't say this out loud. Right. As the manager, that's our job to say that. But you can't be saying that because you're not inspiring anyone. You're just stating facts that, frankly, bring the morale down. I don't know. I think he should already be fired. I said that from his third week. I said the honeymoon's over. Man U's going to revert back to their form, and it's not going to be pretty. But, man, it's losing to Brighton at home 3-1. I don't know if Amorim's actually won at Old Trafford yet. I would be shocked if he had won a home game at all. Well, I get they beat Southampton last week. Does that count? I don't know if we can count that one. But
it counts in the rule books. It counts in the record books.
Yeah, lost 3-0 to Bournemouth at home. Loses 2-0 to Wolves at Wolves. Loses 2-0 to Newcastle at home. Somehow draws Liverpool. So, that's all I have to say about that. Brighton, solid guys.
Yeah, it was good. I mean, the 5th-minute goal by Minta was set up by a great ball over the top that Mitoma handled perfectly and then slotted across to him. Minta returns the favor to Mitoma, and then Onana pulls one of his classic, totally forgets what he's doing at all and biffs it. And it was really gross, that 76th minute to Jorginho Retter. It was a poor performance overall by Manchester United. But I did get a perfect pick out of it. So I'm not mad.
You did.
I'm not mad. And then we'll move from there to Nottingham Forest eking out a victory, oddly enough, just barely eking out a victory against against Southampton. They certainly made this more interesting than it should have been. They were up 3-0 in the first half and let Southampton somehow work their way back into it. Their first goal, Southampton's, was a bit lucky. It was a deflection that was going well wide from what I could see, that bounced into the goal frame. But the 90+1 was certainly an earned goal. And 90+5, it doesn't show up on the stat block, but 90+5, Southampton had a goal. But there was a defender at the back post that got a goal line clearance to keep Nottingham Forest from drawing Southampton here at home, which would have been remarkable.
Yeah, it wasn't quite, you didn't have to bring in goal line technology. It was very close. Had he not been there, would have gone in. And Southampton, they should get momentum out of that. Yes, you lose. But that was probably the best 45 minutes of soccer they've played all season. So hopefully they can get some momentum. They're at home versus Newcastle
depressing.
next.
Your best 45 minutes is in a loss.
Yeah. Well, you take what you can get. And, they have Newcastle at home. So not looking too great, but they should take some momentum into that match, hopefully.
Hopefully so. Well, I don't know. We both did pick them to stay up, so probably yes. Hopefully so. Not looking good. They are 10 points out of 17th right now, and they only have 6 points total. So that's
they're not staying up. We're just trying to get to double digits at this point.
Yeah, at this point, try not to be the worst ever. That's what you're trying to do. And then we don't have to talk about this one very long. Ipswich Town, fully dismantled by Manchester City. 6-0 victory. Neither of us had 6-0. We both had in the 4s. But we both picked City, and correctly. They really wanted to spread the ball around in this one.
Yeah, McAtee getting a goal coming off the bench, Holland getting a goal, Foden getting a couple, Kovacic getting a goal. They just dismantled Ipswich, and you could see it from the beginning. A few chances didn't go in, but Ipswich never in this one. First 25 minutes, it was just the eventual. I feel like Ipswich maybe in the first 5 to 10 minutes may have caught City off guard. They played pretty aggressive, but outside of that, it was all City.
Yeah. There's not much to say about this one because City just dominated. Maybe this will help spur them into a little bit of a resurgence here. They're just to secure a Champions League spot. They've got some work to do to get there. But if Chelsea Chelsea's up next. Chelsea, my Wolves, a 3-1 victory for Chelsea, which gave you a perfect pick on that one. We both got it right because we both picked Chelsea to win with 3 goals, but you picked 3-1, which was the appropriate amount and distribution. And it was the first half wasn't too bad. My Wolves came out of the first half 1-1, and there's my notes for it. Guess what? We get first goal 24th minute off of a corner kick. Then guess what? We got our own corner kick goal in the 45+5. Then we come out in the second half, and 60th minute goal for Cucurella. Horrible defending by Wolves. Just no one was marking anyone on that whole sequence, it felt like. Left a man wide open in the middle. He plays it off to another man who's open. Bad luck. And then 65th minute for the Madueke. It was essentially a short corner kick. And we let them score on that as well. So 2 more set piece concessions by my Wolves. Par for the course. Another loss. Par for my Wolves.
Yeah, Cunha almost had a sweet one there. I think it was in the 70-ish minute range. Kind of curled in from outside the box. And then that was it, really. Strand Larson had a chance. Hits off of Sanchez late 70s, early 80s minutes. But, it was another tale of Wolves just the tiny stint of play they get punished for. Like really, it's the 60 through 65th that put it away. I mean, they were in the game at halftime, and then just a little bit, some lapses in judgment per se, and yeah, could never get back into it. And I think versus Chelsea at Stamford Bridge, going down 3-1, kind of just damage control at that point.
Even if you have 25 minutes left, if you're the Wolves, you're not coming back from that. And, it's disappointing, but, like I said, last match day review, we looked at the schedule, we're like, this is tough. Until we hit, I think it's late March, it's not a good time. It's not a good time. Not a lot of points up for grabs. Anything we get will be nice. And that brings us to the end of match day 22. Any final notes on that before we move over to Champions League predictions?
No, I mean, not many big movers in the table. Bournemouth moved up. I mean, they're in pretty good position. Tottenham obviously went down. Everton may have just... I mean, being 4 points above relegation zone, huge at that point. So,
yeah.
Now outside of that, not a ton of big movers. Crystal Palace jumped United and West Ham. It's just the table is starting to slowly separate. You're seeing some gaps where it used to be really tight. I mean, it used to be like 3 through 14. You were like, you still had a shot. Like 3 good. I mean, Newcastle, we saw it. They win 6 straight games. They go from 12th to 4th. So you're starting to see a little bit of gaps opening up. We'll see where those, probably by match day 30, we'll kind of know where teams will probably end up.
Yeah, the Champions League spot, though, the automatic qualifier there for 4th is still pretty interesting. Because Chelsea's at 40, but we've got down to 7th, all within one match day of getting into that spot, with City, Newcastle, and Bournemouth all on 38, 38, and 37. And then Aston Villa is not far outside of that, and they're currently in the Champions League. Which, you know what, we'll go ahead and move right over to that. So for this particular day, you will now find our picks right here. Whoop. There. Nope, I got it wrong. Here in the middle they are. And we're just going to pick a couple. There's not, because really for this match day, there's like City's match is interesting against PSG, obviously. But outside of that, like Arsenal plays Dynamo Zagreb, not great. Bayern Munich, Feyenoord, not a great one. Celtic probably will win against Young Boys. There's not a lot of intrigue outside of the PSG and Manchester City match, aside from what was the one that you brought up in our preview, like Benfica Barcelona, sort of, but it was Atleti Leverkusen. That was it. Because both those teams, go ahead.
Still at play for the automatic qualifier, or the bye, I guess to say. Mm-hmm. And both teams are number 2 in their domestic league, so it should be an actually pretty decent match. I think it'll be low scoring. I obviously picked it 1-0 Atleti, but I do think that both these teams are in good form. Both are defensive minded. So I'd be shocked if they scored a lot of goals. But, yeah, I think Atleti we saw, I mean, they started off this Champions League round with a win and then 2 straight losses, and we thought they might not even make it to the next round. They've got 3 straight wins. I think that continues. Who knows?
I think that I had the opposite result. Again, a 1-0, but let me double check what I've got here. Yeah, I've got it 1-0 for Leverkusen. I was looking at the wrong side of it there for a moment. But yeah, I think it's going to be a contested match for sure. Because, if Leverkusen can pull it off, I think they're going to be pretty close to fully safe to get an automatic qualifier for round of 16. It's tight. I mean, what we've got Arsenal, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 teams at 13 points, and 1, 2, 3, 4 at 12. So these last 2 match days, there's a lot still up for grabs. I mean, Lille is looking at a tough matchup here. Just talking about the against Liverpool, who is, I believe, still undefeated. Yeah. Liverpool undefeated so far in the tournament. So I don't think that they're if they win, and obviously I don't think that they're going to win because you can see my pick right there. So nope, over there. But yeah, and then
This
City. Go ahead.
Yeah, the Liverpool one, it'll be interesting to see how many youngsters start to get in. Champions League, you have to like select your roster before it even starts. That kind of puts a little dent in that, but I mean they've already secured the bye just by simply goal difference. They've already secured the bye. Outside of both Dortmund and Bayern usurping a couple of teams, and then Liverpool, like every other team has to win out. Liverpool, I think they're confident in securing the bye. It's just how do you want to remain the number one seed? I think they would. This one, I think they're going to come out. I picked them to win 3-0. I think they'll come out with all their starters, play, keep the legs fresh. But it'll be interesting. I think the next match week 8 will be the time when you see a lot of youngsters. They won't really be trying for the win, I don't think.
If they win this week, yes, I would say that you're definitely right. Especially because it's what did you say? It's FA Cup break coming up after.
Yeah, FA Cup break coming up. I think Liverpool's still in the Carabao Cup as well.
Oh, yeah.
So
any breaks they can get, they should take them.
Yeah, they're just a brief note on their lineup. They've got tomorrow, the 21st, then they play Saturday 25th, Wednesday, January 29th, Saturday, February 1st, February 6th, Carabao Cup, February 9th, FA Cup. So they're playing every 3 to 4 days until February 16th. After that match week, they get a break. So that's 8 straight games where really they're getting about 3 days rest. So that's a gauntlet for sure.
Yeah, and that is, and
they're not playing anyone good, so it's good for them. They play no one of any note or talent. So, well, not talent. I don't take that one back, but no one who is like threatening any of their places in the tables. Like PSV in Matchday 8 of 8. Yeah, I think you're safe.
Yeah,
shipping out the youngsters, the 16-year-old boys, see what they can do.
Yes, and then I think City might be able to carry some momentum. I mean, they won 6-0, so you got to feel good about that. They do have to go to Paris, but going south in wintertime from England, not always a bad thing. Being able to get a little bit more temperate, so they may have a weather reprieve from being all the way up there in Manchester, northern England.
This is a big one. PSG not currently moving on. They're in 7th. They're sitting on 7 points in 25th. City sitting on 8 points in 22nd.
Yeah.
So if you win this one, you feel pretty secure in moving on. Either team, I think, feels pretty secure. So it's a big one. It really is. Obviously, I hope that City win, and I picked them to win. But, yeah, I think actually I picked them to draw.
You did?
Just kidding.
Yeah, I picked them to win.
Picked them to draw. I don't know. I also made these picks before we thrashed Ipswich. I'm not going to change it. I'll stick with my draw. I felt good about it then at PSG. But, yeah, I mean, it's with the new format. Like, this game, if City lose, it's not going to make or break. Neither team losing this eliminates them, but it does make it a little bit harder to really secure and confirm that, like, we are going to move on. Because then you got Real Madrid at 20th. Crazy. And that's about the only notable team that's even in the bottom 15. So good on the big boys for really keeping us on our toes here at the end.
Yeah, it would be interesting. There's a lot of moving parts there for City at the bottom of the table. Their goal difference will help them, stay at the top of the 8-pointed group. But Stuttgart, I believe, does Stuttgart play Shakhtar? Hold on, let me go back over there.
Stuttgart plays Bratislava.
Yeah, Stuttgart. I thought they had a beatable team there. So Stuttgart plays Slovan Bratislava, who remains pointless. Leipzig, Bratislava, and Young Boys are all still pointless in the whole tournament. So,
And then, interestingly enough, who does PSG play next week? Stuttgart. So you could have a chance where if PSG loses, Stuttgart wins. It's literally a win or go home type of match.
very
So that's
intriguing.
exciting.
Yeah, so I mean, we're set up for. There is still a lot of stuff to be won here for some major players, and that's what we have to look forward to here in the midweek on Tuesday and Wednesday. So make sure you tune in at your locally scheduled timeline, whatever that may be, to check and see if City moves on, to see if Liverpool wraps it up, to see, and then I think everyone else in from the EPL is already safe. Yeah, Aston Villa's up there, Arsenal's up there, Liverpool's up there. It's just City who's being a slowpoke this year. Aston Villa's still looking to go straight to the round of 16. I mean, they would certainly enjoy having that happen.
Yeah, the other three Premier League teams are just sitting pretty in the top 5. Yeah. And City decided, we're good. We're going to battle it out. We're going to slug it out.
Yeah, 2-2-2. So we'll see how that goes this midweek, obviously. And we'll be back with some episodes later this week for predictions for Matchday 23 in the Premier League and the recap of this Matchday 7, the penultimate matchday for the Champions League league stage matches. Anything else to say before we get out of here?
You know, I'll give my full thoughts on the new format next week after we've recapped all the matches. Are they on Tuesday, right? Or is it Wednesday?
Is it Tuesday or Wednesday? I thought it's Wednesday. Wednesday the 29th.
Wednesday. Yeah, so after that's over and we do our full recap, I'll have my thoughts, but it's chaotic. That's all I'll say. It's chaotic. I think they're getting exactly what they hoped for with, like, City, PSG, Real Madrid, like, kind of faltering. Like, at no point should Brest be an automatic bid team. But based on their schedule, they most likely will be.
Yeah.
So, I mean...
Brest, chaos. The team whose stadium still doesn't qualify for Champions League.
No, they are orphans, and they are doing some... They're the Batman of the Champions League. I mean, they're orphans, but boy, they're making the best out of the situation. They're rising to the occasion. You heard it here first. Brest is Batman.
Hey. Listen, Superman's an orphan too. He was just adopted.
Well, both parents died. Spider-Man was an orphan living with his aunt and uncle. Why am I realizing that all superheroes were at one point?
Superman has the worst
because their parents.
Because his parents died. I guess I don't know the actual backstory on Spider-Man's parents, but then his adopted father also.
We do know Uncle Ben. He got off. Yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's canon for every single Spider-Man. That is canon.
Tony Stark, Iron Man, his dad. Oh my. Well,
goodness. He wasn't like murdered or anything, though. I don't believe he just like had an old dad who died. No idea about Iron Man's mom.
Taken out. Yeah, no one. Iron Man's mom, no clue.
No idea. He could be birthed from a test tube for all I know. For how little I know about his mother. But
next episode we'll get into the lore of Iron Man.
Yeah, we'll do a 1-to-1 comparison for all 32 teams in the Champions League. Figure out which superhero they are based off of their perceived parental issues.
Yeah.
There we go. Perfect. All right. Well, until we get back for that, why don't you go ahead and let me read this here. Why don't you go ahead and grab your coffee, watch some soccer, and we'll see you on the other side. Bye-bye.